Hi everyone, this is Miss Smith. In this video, I want to accomplish two things. Number one, I want to show you an example of a semi-formal report that a previous English 165 student has completed. And the second thing I want to accomplish is to focus on key sections that you will need to submit in a few weeks for my review, okay? And so let's start with the first thing. Let's take a kind of holistic look at an example of a full semi-formal report. Okay, and so you can always go back and replay parts of this video, but I will move a little bit quickly. And so remember that I gave you that document, that semi-formal report overview document. And in that document, I gave you steps that you can follow to complete the semi-formal report. And the first step, of course, was making sure that you have a proposal memo. Now, if you have not submitted your proposal memo assignment, I have already emailed you concerning that. You need to gain approval before you can start on your semi-formal report. There is no scenario where you can submit a semi-formal report to me without having gained approval. Okay, your semi-formal report will not be valid, and so you have to make sure that you contact me immediately if you have not submitted a proposal memo yet, so that we can get that part done so that you can go forward with the semi-formal report assignment. And remember, the semi-formal report assignment, that's the big deal assignment. That is the one that is worth 20% of your final grade in the class. So you definitely want to make sure that you get that proposal memo submitted to me for approval so that you can then be cleared to go ahead and work on your semi-formal report. And so that was step one. Okay. Step two, of course, would be to conduct your job shadow, and then we go steps 3 through, I believe, 8 that I'm giving you. Okay. And so I want to show you, like I just said, an example of a report that is completely done. And so this is from a previous student, and it was an A quality report. Okay, it's not perfect. There are some things that still needed to be fixed, but it was an A quality report. And so we start on this first page, which is the letter of transmittal. Okay, that's the first thing that happens in the report. It is a letter that should be properly formatted, single-spaced, addressed to me. Okay, and I've taken out some identifying information there. Then you have the cover page, and your name would go here. Of course, I've taken this information out because I'm not identifying which student it was, but this is your cover page. And then you have your table of contents. Your table of contents should match correctly the pages in the document. So if you tell me that your conclusion is on page 9, then your conclusion needs to be on page 9, for example, right? And I want you to pay attention to this particular student's use of headings. The student is consistent with the use of these major headings. That's what I want, okay? Whatever design, whatever font style, whatever size you use for your major headings, for your subheadings, they need to be consistent with one another, okay? So all of the major headings need to look alike. All of the subheadings need to look alike. All of the body text needs to look alike and be the same size and style. Okay, that consistency is a part of good document design, and it will help your reader understand where those transitions take place, when sections change, right, when things like that happen. So just make sure that you're being mindful of that as well. Good document design within that report. Okay, and so after the table of contents, then we have the list of illustrations page. This page, of course, is not where you place the illustrations, but you are telling the reader where illustrations or where visuals are located in your report. Okay? And then we have the abstract page. The abstract is one of the sections that I want to point out this week, so I'll stop here and we'll talk about it for just a moment. In the document, the semi-formal report overview document, I've given you specific information about the abstract section, okay? And that's around step number 7. But I want you to make sure that you follow this guideline. I'm telling you here specifically what I want in the first, second, and third paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you want to tell the reader the topic of your report. You can indicate that you're writing for writing this for a class assignment. In the second paragraph, you want to provide a brief overview of the work you completed in assembling this report. For example, the job shadow, the follow-up interview, and any secondary research you did. And you want to keep this paragraph brief, but you want to be thorough. And then in that third paragraph, this is important in the abstract. This is very, 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 very important. And this section should summarize your recommendations for a person pursuing a career in this field. Okay, you want to draw from your existing recommendations section, which we'll look at later, but don't add bullet points to this paragraph. This is a summary, so you want to keep this paragraph simple. So when we look at this example, we have the abstract. We have the abstract paragraph here. We have the body paragraph. And then with the conclusion paragraph, it begins, I recommend. Okay, do you see that? That is exactly what I want you to do. I want you to begin your abstract conclusion paragraph, okay, the last paragraph of your abstract section. I want you to begin it with the words, I recommend. Right, and you're talking about what you would recommend to anyone who is interested in the field that you have done your job shadow in. Okay, and so that's what I want you to know about the abstract. Go back and refer to that overview document for those specific details. The introduction section is another section that I'll want to see in a couple of weeks because I want to make sure that you're getting this section correct, just like I want to make sure that you're getting the abstract section correct. Okay. In your introduction, as it will tell you in our overview document, in the introduction there are two parts. You have your purpose statement and then you have your industry background. And you should also include a visual graphic in your introduction underneath that industry background section. Okay, and so what I want you to do is something similar to this. So you have the purpose statement here at the top. You see the student included subheadings. That's what I want you to do. I want you to make sure your subheadings are there. And then under industry background here, and this is still a part of the introduction, this paragraph here, this thick paragraph, contains information that's coming either from ONET Online, which is probably where you would get the information, or the same website we use for the career analysis assignment. Go back, search for that career fields, and use information that you get from that search to put into the section about the industry background. You pull the information that you want to use. But also, I want you to include a graphic under industry background, a visual, okay? And this is what students have done, and this is what has tended to work very well. So I want to tell you about it also. For the graphic, what you can do, what is a really good idea for you to do, is for you to create a table based off the work context section of that ONET page. So again, when you go to onetonline.org and you search for whatever that career field is, in this case the student has searched for the career of a librarian. She did her job shadow with a librarian. Under the work context section, it will give you percentages. You can take the information there and you can create a simple table based on some of those percentages. Now, she chose work context for librarians 70% or higher. The work context at 70% or higher. So anything that was on that ONET Online list that was at 70% or higher, she captured it in this table. That is a great idea. I think that's what probably is the easiest thing to do. And so you can definitely do that and solve your issue with having to include a graphic, right? That will take care of that completely. You want to make sure though that you put source and a colon at the bottom of your graphic, at the bottom of your table, and that you put the first word of the full citation here. In that case, it's librarian. This is the in-text citation. The first word or first few words of the full citation is the in-text citation. And you want to make sure that that goes right there besides source, right? So that you're giving credit to where you've gotten that information from. And you also want to do the same thing here in this section because you want to identify that this information came from another source. Now, I would, like I said, suggest that you use ONET and just use the same citation here and here. Okay? And so that would take care of that introduction section. Okay, and so if we continue scrolling through, the next section up is the discussion section. Now the discussion section is a 2 to 4 page section as you should know from the overview document, it is a 2 to 4 page section, and it is the heart of your report. This is where you're writing about your job shadow experience, okay? And so again, I'm expecting you to go to the job site to observe someone for at least 45 minutes, of course with their permission, something you have already scheduled, and they know you're coming, they know you're going to be going there. You need to make sure that you bring what you need, you're writing something to write with and write on, and make sure that you keep up with your notes, right, so that you don't have to try to scramble to redo this. All right, you want to make sure you get it all done the first time. And then of course you have that follow-up interview that is a maximum of 15 minutes. And so in the discussion section, that information will be placed, the information from your job shadow and from your follow-up interview. And so when we look at an example here, okay, we see again that we have the same type of major heading here, the same look, the same design, so that's consistent, and we have consistency with the look of the subheadings and with the body text, okay? And so like I said, this is not a perfect report, but it was an A-level report. And so I want you to make sure that you have at least 2 to 4 pages, okay? And so like I said, this one wasn't exactly perfect, but it was an A quality, okay? And so you want to make sure that you have your information. If you include another graphic, make sure that you put a source for that graphic as well. And what I would like for you to do is to make sure you have at least 2 pages without the graphic. Okay, make sure you have at least 2 pages without the graphic. This student also chose to incorporate bullet points where it was necessary, but it's not completely filled. A page is not completely filled with bullet points, and a page is not completely filled with a graphic. I want to see text there. Okay. After that section, we have our conclusion and recommendation section. Your conclusion is a wrap-up of what you've discussed in your discussion section, and your recommendation section, this is where you're going to make recommendations for anyone who's interested in this career field. So you'll remember when we were talking about the abstract section, and when we were talking about that last paragraph of the abstract, and I mentioned that you can refer to what you have in your recommendation section. This is the section I'm talking about, okay? And so here is where you're going to list in bullet point form the recommendations that you have for anyone interested in that career field. And of course, this comes from what you've gathered from your contact person during your job shadow, and also what you might have learned from ONET. Okay, this is not based on your opinion, but based on the research that you've done. Okay, so conclusion and recommendations can go on the same page. And then you have your references section. Okay, and the references section is where you're going to put your MLA citations, right? Your full citations go on this page. They should be in alphabetical order, and they should be listed on this references page, okay? And so I should be able to look at your references page and then go back and find in-text citations for everything on your references page. So what do I mean by in-text citations? Well, we talked about that the other week, right? And we recently did an MLA quiz. And so your in-text citation should be the first word or the first few words, okay, of your full citation. Whatever you place in those parentheses in your in-text citation should begin your full citation. Okay, it should begin it. And so you don't want to say, for example, National Center for ONET Development as your in-text citation. That would be incorrect. The in-text citation for this source would be librarian. Okay, so if we look back through this report, we should be able to find an in-text citation for Figueroa, for Hall, for librarian, and for Orangeburg Calhoun, or Orangeburg Calhoun Technical College. Okay, so let's just do that real quick, okay, to check these sources: Figueroa, Hall, librarian, and Orangeburg Calhoun. And so we're looking primarily in the discussion section and then in the introduction, because that's where the sources will probably be. Well, here we go. We have Hall already noted here. Okay, so we see that we have the in-text citations there for Hall. One is listed here with this graphic. Okay, here's Orangeburg Calhoun. Okay, and so that source is used. Excellent. And then we have librarian here. Okay, and we have Figueroa here. And so this student used 4 sources. 3 were required. The student used 4. And every single full citation here on the references page has that corresponding in-text citation, and that is what is needed. If you just have the in-text citation and you don't have the references page, you risk committing plagiarism and earning a failing grade on your entire report. If you only have the full citations and you don't have the in-text citations, the same is true. You risk being charged with plagiarism and you risk failing the entire report. You must have the references and then you must have the in-text citations. Okay, you must have both of them. They go hand in hand. And so another thing I'll point out about the references section, and this is part of the reason that I want to check these specific sections, because I'm trying to help you catch any instances of plagiarism, okay? Anything that could get you in trouble. I'm trying to be another set of eyes to help you identify that, okay? And so one thing I want to point out too, you'll notice that the references page, that it's not a listing of website addresses. A website address is not the same thing as an MLA formatted references page. If you just stick up website addresses there, it's not going to work. Okay, you have to make sure that you put your information in MLA format, and I've tried to prepare you for that through the information I've given you and through the MLA quiz. Okay, so if you are having any questions about that, or maybe if you didn't do so well on the quiz, please contact me. Please let me know. I would be happy to help you to try to navigate through that, okay, to figure out how to get it done correctly. All right, and so those are the key sections, and by the way, that's it. That's the entire report, okay? And so those are the key sections that I will be looking for in a few weeks: your abstract, your introduction, your discussion section, and your references. Those 4 sections is what will be coming due soon, so check your syllabus for that deadline, and so make sure that you're turning that in. Let me help you just to be sure that you're getting it done the right way. Okay, so if you have any questions about any of that, about the semi-formal report or any sections of it, please let me know, and I would be more than happy to help you figure out what it is that you need to know. Okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I will be in touch soon.